stay a while and listen.
And welcome to the Agony of Positivity podcast, the Sleepy Edition. I am Ross. I am joined today by a little bit of the bubbly Saul.
A little bit of the bubbly Saul.
I have the packaging for the Jericho next to me.
Well,
or bacon
funny.
sticks, as he has been known the last couple weeks.
Yes. It's funny. You're a little bit of sleepy, and I'm a little bit amped. So with our two powers combined,
we will get a standard edition, most likely.
Yes.
Yes. I saw something the other day. I wish I could remember what it was. It was one of those, trying to think, like the ambulance chaser, attorney, lawyer ads that you see or whatever, where they list different things like work-related injury, auto accident, workman's comp. It was something that it was listed out, and for some reason when I was reading it, I saw that, and I wanted to be like, and by your powers combined, I am whatever law. Like, I had some clever lawyer superhero name that came to my mind, and I laughed. You doing that reminded me of it. So,
gotcha.
If for some reason I see it again, I'll make a note of it because it was hilarious. No one laughed. Well, the person I was with didn't laugh because they don't understand funny, but I promise you that it was.
I get it.
So how's your week going?
Well, I had a bit of a panic attack on Sunday.
Right?
That's probably the worst thing I've ever experienced.
So far. We're in a year of discovery for horrible things. So,
well, if it gets any worse than that, I don't know. But so, got some blood pressure medicine, lowered it down.
Right.
Got some Captain America formula medicine to remove a nose polyp out of my left nostril. So that's interesting.
The polyps are weird because sometimes they have to cut them out, I guess, and other times they just go away. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, you could do you can get it cut out, and they can still grow back. And scientists don't know why it does it. So.
Well, I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to. Let me see here. But yeah, but otherwise, you've fairly well recovered?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good right now.
Yeah, because we've talked.
The good news is, it was a crash course of dieting, so I've eliminated caffeine from my diet. So I'm caffeine free.
Man. Did you go through the caffeine withdrawal?
Not with Captain America drug, dude. It's just,
or you did, and you're on the other side now and don't know.
The Captain American drug keeps you from feeling that, I guess. So.
Yeah, because I haven't done it in a while, but because I drink like one energy drink a day now, so I'm a lot lower than I used to be when I would drink 3 to 4 a day.
Sure.
Caffeine withdrawal is brutal sometimes. And then other times I've phased it out where, I get like a little bit of a headache because I didn't do it just right, and I'm totally fine. Other times it's like fever, sweats, and crazy stuff. So
like you're a heroin addict or something.
The one time I did it accidentally, and I thought I was dying. I felt so bad, and then it dawned on me that it was caffeine. So I had like a Coke or something, and it kind of cut what I was feeling a little bit. Yeah. But that was like at the end of the day. I was like, I wish I would have thought about this way earlier. I had I wasn't planning on going cold turkey, but I
believe the expression is "get the monkey off your back."
Yes. I feel bad though because caffeine compared to I'm gonna say real drugs, if that makes any sense, or real nicotine or something like that, I feel is almost like, I'm really hooked on this caffeine, and you're talking to a smoker or someone who has like an addictive drug that they're battling, is almost insulting to have it in the same family.
Well, it's all about addiction. I mean, people are get addicted to different things, so
I'll tell you what I'm not addicted to is Bang Energy Drink's birthday cake bash.
Okay.
I love birthday cake flavor of stuff. This drink is not good. So, not sponsored by Bang, obviously. So we've talked in the past on this show, before we get into any of the actual topics, about like anxiety or nervousness or panic, depression. Like we've talked about some of those like real things. Was there anything, if it's something you would be comfortable even talking about, like was there something that set off the panic attack for you? Or was it just a combination of life events probably and just kind of caught up to you?
I don't. It's weird, dude, because I've had panic attacks all my life.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I've grown accustomed to, type thing.
Yeah. Well, you just every so often one hits you.
The one hits me. I mean, the best thing, if you've never experienced it, it's hard to understand it. But if you watch Iron Man 3, the way Robert Downey Jr. prays at someone having a panic attack, he does a pretty good job with it. So
like enough to where either he himself or the writer of that scene has had them legitimately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, someone had to because he does it really good.
Okay.
But anyway, like it was like Sunday night, Sunday morning actually, and I woke up. I was startled from my sleep or whatever. I was like, well, I gotta use the restroom. Went to go and took relieved myself and get out, and hit me.
Yeah.
I started panicking, and I was like, all right, breathe, and then I couldn't. It wouldn't stop. It was amping up, and so I called my wife down, and she came down, and it amped more. It just kept amping, and she was trying to calm me down, and I'm like, what startled me is when my tongue went numb, because. And the paramedic, and he's the only one that explained this to me. The doctors didn't explain it to me. Paramedic says when you're hyperventilating, you get too much oxygen in your mouth or in your lungs, and sometimes some body parts go. He's like, that's probably what you're experiencing.
Okay, so he actually thought enough of it to give you that.
Well, of course. Well, because I was like, my tongue is numb. He's like, well, it can't be too numb because you're talking to me.
Right.
And I was like, well, it just feels weird. He's like, I understand.
Yeah, well, I wonder, too, like, he could have explained, because he's probably seen a lot of, like, panic situations, maybe. So.
Oh, sure.
Whereas the doctor might not I'm sure they have similar training, like the doctor, if given time, but maybe they just don't think about it or something.
The hospital, man, they kept on trying to give me COVID. Right. And I was like, panic attacks has nothing to do with COVID. Stop trying to force this on me.
Right. Well, yeah, because they want to test everybody for everything. But you're like, look, this is a panic attack. Leave me.
Yes.
You're not helping my situation.
And let me tell you, if there's any doctors or anybody that runs a medical board, having a panic attack and being forced to wear a mask, not good.
Yeah, where you're already like feeling confined. Like I'm assuming there's some like confinement feelings in a way, or just like does it give you like like not full on claustrophobia, I guess, but like where you kind of feel claustrophobic because people are around.
It's like bush panic.
Okay,
you just want to run. You don't know why. You just
What if Bigfoot has heard our shows and Bigfoot was stalking you?
Yes.
Interdimensional Bigfoot, so he could just teleport into your backyard.
Yes.
Over the whole thing, I'm glad that it seems like you're doing pretty good.
Yep.
Unfortunate because it's you don't like to know people who are having a bad way at all. So if anyone's listening and they have issues with like panic attacks or anxiety, those kind of things, like that's something we've talked about from time to time. Obviously, we're not expecting anyone to like write in letters or anything, but just know that there's other people, in a lot of cases on the other side of the country, dealing with kind of the same things.
And if you guys out there are experiencing high blood pressure, Just go get checked out. You feel much better once you put you on some medication.
Well, I think we talked about it when high blood pressure runs in my family, and I was having, I don't know if it was like a panic attack or what initially happened. My dad told me that same age as when he started having his issues, but all of a sudden my blood pressure was in like the 200s over 120, and I was not doing good. I thought I was having a heart attack because I was getting like numbness and all kinds of weird chest pains and stuff. So that stuff's serious. If you know, now obviously the cost of doctors and stuff can be a concern, but if you can, get it checked out. So
get it checked out.
My week,
because I don't like doctors either. So
yeah. If there was an award for not going to the doctor, I used to think that I would be high up on that list, but you have shown me otherwise. So,
but anyway, let's talk about some video games or some
fun.
Wrestling or.
Well, let's see here. I want to talk about. So I want to talk about what I have read on the WWE Battlegrounds game, but I'll just wait until we're into wrestling because it pairs pretty well with that. Let's talk about what we haven't played it, but we learned a little bit about it. The Conan Exiles. The Isle expansion. So I'm going to hit something here for us.
Get over here! Time's up. Let's do this.
All right. So last week you had brought it to my attention that they were getting the Conan Isle of Sipta, or I'm not sure on the pronunciation. I haven't actually watched anything for it, but this was coming out. So again, Conan's one of those survival type games, but it's the Conan setting. This particular expansion crosses over with Blizzard and has Ice Crown Citadel in it. In the center of the zone.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh man, Steam, why do you get to do that? Steam is making me put in a birth date that is valid to view this page. Hey, I figured something out. Because Conan Exiles, and this is for anyone who's never checked out this game, but is thinking about it. For some reason, you hear us talk about Conan, and you're like, you know what? I really need to see what disaster these guys were really into at one point. Be aware that because there is a nudity setting in Conan Exiles, which I don't really understand. I mean, it's like when people freak out about historical accuracy to criticize things. I understand that in the world of Conan that nudity probably would have been a thing, but I don't know that you really need that in the game. Well, the problem is one of the tags that goes with that game is nudity. So you will get all kinds of the crazy, weird anime games will show up in your suggestions sometimes if you've played any period of time. Because I was trying to figure out, I was like, what have I played that it keeps suggesting this stuff to me? And then it dawned on me, and I was like, stupid Conan and stupid Funcom. Because I have like just all these stupid things that's like nudity or sexual content. Like, what have I ever played that has this? Oh, this thing. But anyway, so our big question last week about this, because there wasn't a lot of information at the time, it seemed like, is if you were using an existing character or if this was doing basically what Ark does, where there's different maps that you can play. And that is what this is. It's a totally different map, so you start from scratch.
But you have to have the original Conan game in order to play this one.
Right, because it's basically just a map expansion.
Sure.
Kinda. Like, or they added a map as a alternate content, I guess you could call it that way.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so it's $19.99. I guess that's early access. Which, if you've heard us talk or if you've played any of this game, you know as well as we do, this is what you're getting. So if you buy it now before they raise the price on it or something, and just be done with it.
This game will never get out of early access, probably.
They can call it launch all they want, but until I'm proven otherwise, and they're, hey, we fixed this problem. No, they didn't. Like, I honestly can't think of a single time that there was a hot fix or a patch or anything that was like, oh, we're going to fix floating like your little minions, basically, that you get, the thralls, over time, where certain things would happen that would, if something got destroyed, it'd cause them to float in the air or just stand there and not do anything. Like, oh yeah, we're going to fix that. What, 6 different patches we played through, and every one of them addressed that issue, but none of them did.
Yep.
Like, I'm confident in there being 6 dedicated fixes to that did not do anything.
Well, the last time I played it, it was still up there. The only thing is the thralls die eventually. And
I mean, that is better than them just indefinitely being in the air dancing.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so you start a whole new zone, and then I've avoided as much as I could, because what made the first playthrough so much fun was just discovering everything as you go. So now, have you been doing fairly the same thing, or just kind of checking it out a little bit to see what's going on?
Fairly the same thing. I know there's 14 dungeons.
That's a lot.
And I guess the dungeon system you have to do in order to do the in-game stuff. So,
well, it's fine if well,
the only problem is as long as you don't lose your crap.
Well, right, and that will be the test to find out over time. But yeah, since it's $19, I'm almost 100% going to get this. Mm-hmm. I was, like I mentioned, like that WWE, the Battlegrounds game, because it looked kind of fun. But the more I've heard people talk about it or read about it, I'm not going to be spending any money on that. So I'll just buy Conan and save myself some money.
Yeah, there you go.
But now you were saying, like, the building style, like in the normal game you have like sandstone as your base structure, and it's just like the early part of the game you find some rocks, and you can make stone weapons real easy and do all that. So you were saying the beginning of this is like driftwood or something from like crashed ships?
It looks like you're actually building your base from like wreckage from a ship and stuff.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Right, to start with, and then have
and
you seen
also
anything?
Looks like,
oh, go ahead.
Also looks like the gear that your like pickaxe is hanging from your side. Your sword is, and I don't know if it was like that. I can't remember.
Right. Well, I know the last time I was playing the normal game, I don't remember, like, if I didn't have something equipped, I didn't have it on me, like visually, that I could remember. Maybe there was like something you could make that would show it, but all my stuff kept disappearing before I could get that far, and made me stop playing again.
Sure.
But yeah, has anyone made any comment about the size of the map?
I think someone said it's not as big as the other one. But I don't know.
Let's see. I am looking. So we are gonna. There are in the last. I'm trying to find most helpful reviews in the past couple days. I'm looking for shorter ones. I don't need to read a novel on this. Wow. So this is going back to September 18th. Now this is a thumbs down review, but this person, I'm looking, it doesn't even show how many hours they've played that I can see. It's an early access review, but either way, yeah. Here we go. So this is a broken mess of DLC, and this is why. The Thrall camp's being replaced with god-awfully broken surges, thus crippling players' ability to capture thralls at early stages and throwing a large chunk of the gameplay mechanics out the window. I could see that being a problem. No mention of them dying when they spawn into the world and fall. Purges aren't a thing. So you get level 1 thralls from surges or nothing, I guess, which I can, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. I can deal with that. Purges are one of those like things that are a super cool mechanic, but it just never worked right. And if someone's listening to this and they don't know, basically you, like, once you started building a base, there was a timer that started, and after a certain amount of time, usually a couple days, depending on your level and some other factors that who knows how it was accounted for, time of day, the amount of people logged in, how many servers were offline or something, I don't know. You'd get like random creatures that would come and attack your base, and you had to fight them off, Or if you weren't online, like your thralls, like your little minions, would fight them for you, and then you'd log in and be like, oh no, the purge got me. But if you were there, you could get like rare or like hard to get people. Like you could knock them out and turn them into your servants, basically. So, but it just never worked right. Like they would show up and not do something, or your people wouldn't attack them. So it's one of those, this is a great idea, you guys just never got it to work right, is what it felt like. Let's see. Resource and hostile mob spawn is all over the place. Resources are stupidly easy to get, but then again is crippled by the lack of proper craftsmen thralls. And don't get me started on corrupted animals. They're a pain in the butt with how broken the spawns are. No idea what that really means for the corrupted animals without having played it. This person, they did enjoy the visual style of the DLC. It's not nearly enough to offset the gameplay issues. This really seems like someone who didn't play the early access of this. Yes. I could be wrong. But let's see here. Can't recommend the DLC in its current state, but they're saying the island itself is not so good. And then the others are I'm just looking here. Mostly solo. New map was what they needed. Yeah, people are really upset about the no thrall camps.
Yeah. That's one thing I heard about, too. It's just a different type of gameplay. Because I think it's meant for, like, PvP type stuff.
Right. That's what the one thing I saw said, that it was more a PvP zone. But I'm sure you can... Like, the way we were playing it was more like explore and adventure. So I think it could be good. I do like this, though. No thrall camps. Instead, giant rifts open in the sky, dumping 6 or so of them onto the ground in a tightly packed group. He's like, I don't know, it's some kind of eldritch thing or something. Sky rifts, from playing Rift, I don't bat an eye. I'm just like, oh, it's another plane coming over. Sure. Like, I just accept that if I see it in a game. And then basically they're all chained, so if you pull one of them, it's going to pull any that are nearby, and because it dumps them so tightly together. But I mean, that was an issue in the original version too. Like, if you went to a camp and you weren't careful, you'd pull the whole camp, and regardless of your gear, you'd be dead.
Sure, yeah.
So, I'm just let down they didn't add sorcery.
Yeah,
I was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Someone... Oh, well. The people who made that Grounded game, that engine, I wish the people who made Grounded would buy the Conan rights and use that engine to make Conan, because that engine, from the little bit that I played it, runs real good. And that would fix all the problems with Conan, and then it'd be fun. And I'd have my fantasy setting survival game that worked.
Sure.
And less spiders. Because Grounded has spiders and they're horrifying. So let me see here. So other than that, did you do any more WoW stuff?
No, not really.
Okay, well, I played
I mean, I really haven't really did a lot this week. So.
Yeah, I played a few games of Battlegrounds, and you know, that's really been about it for me. Like, messed around.
Goldfish Casino. I mean,
right? Yeah, it's been a bad week for doing anything extra. Let's see here. Do you want to just go on to wrestling, but we'll talk about the 2K Battleground game?
Sure.
All right. So here we go. I'm lazy, so I'm using the sandwich.
Why did Britt take her shoe off to eat that sandwich?
It's also my favorite. Let's see here. So I'm going to pull up the WWE games on Steam. I want to see people's review. But so this game, you kind of have to look at pictures of it. It's more like a cartoony, arcadey style look to it.
Yeah.
Compared to like the traditional ones. Like right now I'm watching Daniel Bryan on the video is jumping out of a helicopter in a Vietnam setting almost. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but So from what I read, because I was kind of excited for this game, because I was like, ooh, maybe it'll play like the old No Mercy style games.
Yeah.
Just because it just seemed like it might be that kind of thing that they would do. And I don't know that that's the case. People were saying that this is almost, it looks like it was going to be a mobile free-to-play game. That all of a sudden, because 2K20, there's obviously some speculation in these opinions that I've been reading, where because 2K20 was such a disaster of a game, they had to pull back off that, but they wanted something to release for this year. So they did the Battlegrounds game. So they stripped all the microtransaction stuff out of it, or the big parts of the microtransaction they pulled out of it. But there's still a lot of stuff left in. So like you buy the game and it's $40. So it's a $40 game, but you have to grind currency to unlock a lot of the wrestlers, it sounds like.
Okay.
Which...
That's where Star Wars went down, the Star Wars Battleground. Yeah.
Well, and I'm going to look here at again, we're just looking at the Steam. I'll read some excerpts here. I didn't go in expecting much, but I was still disappointed. I guess they have a creator wrestler, but it's like super, super basic, and you can't use it anywhere except like single player exhibition type stuff, I guess.
Okay.
So there's no custom move sets for your created wrestler. Like you basically just pick a type, and then so you can't even make your own you keep I'm going to do all the arm moves with this guy or something. The online, I guess, isn't very good. If you can't do 2v2 against randoms. I don't even know if you can do 1v1 on that. Let's see.
I'm looking at this picture of Undertaker and his wife, and I guess it's his kid playing this game.
Yeah.
And the Undertaker looks really, really bored.
I just don't picture, especially after watching the Last Ride documentary, he does not seem like a video game guy at all.
No.
Even a little bit. Now, if you had the WWE 2K20 hunting rifle, that seems like that might be more his speed.
Yes. Yes.
There's a few people where it's like the game relies on a microtransaction system for the price it's asking. Let's see. I'm trying to find... Because I saw people had screenshots, but it was basically... You start out with it has a very big roster, but you don't have a lot of them unlocked. And there's things where it's clear that it was meant to spend money to unlock stuff.
Sure.
And so here we go. This guy got the game for free. Played 14.8 hours. Let's open this one up. So this is EBS Speed 2002 Steam review here. It's one of the side ones. Worst game in the 2K series. Game is a total cash grab. You can unlock, on average, one superstar every hour. Even EA is better than this. Wouldn't recommend anyone to buy this. Game crashes once every 2.5 hours. No idea about that. Trying to actually enjoy this trashy cash grab that's really trying hard to capture the nostalgia of the old arcade wrestling games. Movesets are super limited. You have to pay for everything. Really feels like a mobile game, not a $40 game. So that backs up what other people were saying. You got to be always online to get credits. So basically, if you play the game offline, you can't unlock any wrestlers. I think he made a typo there. If you play online, you can't. But I think it's supposed to be if you're playing it offline, you're not going to unlock anything. 2K18 on the Switch was more enjoyable. I don't know if you ever heard anything about that, but it was like a super stripped down version of the 2K, the yearly series that just got panned pretty hard when it came out. So I could be misremembering that. Online play is the worst. It takes 2 minutes to find a match in the, I'm assuming it's King of the Battleground or something, and nobody plays tournaments. Wouldn't recommend it. You can have the same experience with the mobile variant of this game. This completely or legitimately does not feel like a $40 game. See, that's weird because this is one of those reviews where it says, I would have not bought the game, but it has, this person got it for free. So I don't know. Like, maybe he paid for a key or like, who knows how that works. But it sounds like it matches up to all the other stuff I heard, so.
Kind of a shame, because it looked like it might be fun.
Well, I mean, it could be, but if everything I'm reading, like, the gameplay doesn't seem very in-depth, like, the create a character, because I've played No Mercy as, like, a solo player game, basically, or even, like, Fire Pro, where you basically just make characters and do your own thing, and just, even when you get to the point where you can crush the game, you can still throw it on and play it for a little bit and have some fun. But if I can't even make characters and the movesets are limited, and I haven't seen anyone mention where, like, No Mercy or even WCW NWO Revenge, you could have someone have the title, and then if they lose it, then someone else technically holds the title within the game. So even that, you can have some kind of imaginary, like, video game federation in your mind or something. It doesn't sound like that's an option.
No.
So, letdown. Hopefully we get something. It sounds like AEW had filed some trademarks. Did you ever play the SmackDown vs. Raw when it had the GM mode?
Maybe.
It's basically, so it's general manager mode. It's what Austin Creed and Breeze do all the time on their shows, where they basically, like, one's general manager for Raw, one's for SmackDown, and you basically just build your roster and try to have better shows than the other. And that's, like, you're just basically doing a competition to get, like, better ratings or whatever it is. Very timely, oddly enough, nowadays. And there is speculation that AEW might have basically trademarked something that makes it seem like they might be doing, like, maybe a mobile game like that. Because supposedly, this is all rumor and all that garbage, because I have no sources, that Austin Creed was supposedly, or Xavier Woods, whatever, was kind of working with somebody to try to get, like, a GM-style game made. But for whatever reason, WWE wouldn't license with them or something. And again, that sounds like something that somebody could have just made up. But he had tweeted about, like, that and the Raw Deal card game. So I'm let down on both accounts. But so if there was a game that was being made that was good, but they didn't have a license, and then AEW came along and licensed it with them, and you could have your AEW roster or something, that'd be kind of interesting. So, because I'd like a mobile game that's like one of those half-time waster kind of games where you're doing something, but it doesn't just gouge you for your money or anything.
Yes.
Because I was playing, they have, like, Retromania Wrestling, where it's one of those, like, it has, like, made-up people, but it's pretty obvious who the people are supposed to be, and you can, like, pick the different match types to do or whatever, and it's kind of like running a federation. It was kind of fun. So if there was a little more polished one with, like, real wrestlers, might be good. So, but yeah, so it sounds like this game at the $40 asking price is probably a pass. Yeah. Now, if it goes on sale for like $9, I'll pick it up and see what it does. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. But yeah, I'm not 100% like, oh, reviews. I am a slave to reviews. Whatever they say is what I will believe. But I'm not going to throw $40 on this thing where I would probably want to play it more than 2 hours to make a full determination if it was worth that. But then it's harder to get your refund if it sucks through Steam.
Yeah.
So, because I even debated about that for a while. I was like, well, I could buy it and just make sure not to go over 2 hours. And if it's not what I want, but I don't know. I don't like doing the refund too much. Unless it's just, like, clearly a broken game. So,
well, and that's what I keep reading. They said everyone's like, it seems like the thing is everyone's like, it's an all right game. The $40 is way too much money to ask for it.
Right. So there you have it.
So, yeah.
You know what I'm not a fan of?
What?
And this is 100% video game related, is where you have Epic exclusive games, you have Steam exclusive, you have like all the different stores now. I don't like that. I've decided.
Sure. I also agree with you on that. So.
I mean, I have like the Epic Game Store account or whatever. My biggest complaint with it is it constantly tries to install Fortnite on my computer, and I do not want Fortnite on my computer currently.
Yes. You want to play it though, Ross.
If they put in no build mode, I would play Fortnite 100%. I would not play it a ton, and I would be terrible at it. But I'd be willing to play it. That game runs really well. I just have no interest in the building aspect of it. So, which is obviously going to handicap me.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes.
So, looking through the Steam stuff, there's nothing else that really pops out to me on Steam currently. I wonder if it's just being old is what makes me picky about video games now.
Yes, that's what it is.
I know
You're
that
old man.
Well, I find it funny when people complain about the cost of video games. Now I'm talking like actual buy to play games. Like we were just talking like $40 is too much for that game. But like I remember on Nintendo, the WrestleMania game, one of the worst wrestling games of all time, was like $64. And that was when that game came out. And I'm looking at Cyberpunk is $59.99. So it's cheaper than what that horrible game was brand new. And that was like 1980 or somewhere like 88 or 90 or whenever that game came out. $64 back then versus $59.99 now. So like video game pricing is completely messed up. Not that I want to pay more. I'm just saying that.
Ross, I want to pay $80.
Like I think that's fair. Take this extra money. I'm going to start tipping my developers.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a Patreon for that if you want to actually do that. So,
I'm sure there is.
Let's see here. Do you want to move on from video games, or is there anything?
Well, I thought we already did.
We moved into wrestling. Yeah, well, it's the 4 hours sleep. So, all right. Yeah, we're technically in wrestling from that.
Yes.
All right. So let me make a timestamp note here real fast. 37. All right. For the actual
Ross's sleepiness.
I forgot what we were doing.
Yeah.
Even though it was my idea. All right. So this week's Dynamite for September 16th, we had the big graphic was the parking lot brawl. So what did you? Because the previous week was the million viewer one where everybody was like, this was the greatest Dynamite ever. And we thought it was good, but we weren't really of the opinion that it was the greatest thing ever. Like I saw a lot of people talking about.
Yeah.
It was good in that it was setting stuff up to move forward, but I wasn't blown away by it.
Yeah, and I really wasn't. I mean, this one, it was all right. I mean, I'm interested in some of the stories.
Yeah.
But some of the other stories, I'm like, I don't care anything about.
Right, those. Yeah. I'm at that point where I think it's the same thing. So we'll go through this. Because let's see. So they did the FTR and Jurassic Express.
Yeah.
So this was my concern, and this is because of watching other wrestling. I'm used to a formula that makes me mad. I completely, because they built up so much that the titles were not on the line and that Jurassic Express would have to win and then they could have a title shot.
Yeah.
That to me was like, well, Jurassic Express 100% is going to win this match somehow.
Sure.
So that did not happen.
Nope.
Which I was hopeful of because I was like, oh, I don't think they would actually do that. But they talked about it enough. And then when there's one point in this match where Jungle Boy goes for like 17 pins in like a 2-minute span. I was like, oh no, it's about to happen. This is the thing that I hate. But yeah, so I mean, it wasn't a bad match or anything, but I was more like, the match itself was irrelevant to me. I needed to see the finish to it. Which I've noticed I'm a lot more into, like, I still enjoy like a very good match, but I'm now with AEW to the point where like characters actually advance from like a character standpoint. So now like the result of the match or how they handle the result of the match is almost more important to me from a watching standpoint than the actual match.
Well, and I think that's one thing that's a kind of a downfall when it comes to AEW.
Yeah.
There's some wrestlers that can develop a character, and there's some wrestlers that on there still that cannot develop a character.
Luchasaurus.
You just don't care.
Sorry, I had a dinosaur.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, this is like,
Well, Jungle Boy has grown a little bit, but they've been very careful with what they do with him, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it seems like Luchasaurus, like, them as a team for sure, are almost exactly the same as they started with. And I don't know if they're just, like, holding off on them because Jungle Boy, I would assume, like, he's definitely good. I don't know if, like, they have bigger plans, so they're just going to take their time, let him develop or whatever. Like, if maybe there's something that he's working on in the back, like, maybe his promos aren't super good, so they're working with him on that before they start doing anything. I don't know. But yeah. But where, like, yeah, I see what you mean, though. Because, yeah, they're basically the exact same as they were a year ago.
Sure.
Where other people, like, I mean, I feel like Adam Page would be the person to use. Like, you feel like that character has gone on a journey. To where you're kind of...
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's a very strong point. So did you have, like... The match itself was fine. FTR cheats to win.
Sure. Which is fine because they're bad guys.
Right. Well, and they're the tag champs. I did not want. I would have had a. I'm going to exaggerate here. I would have had a brain aneurysm if FTR goes undefeated, wins the titles, and then they lose to freaking Jurassic Express in a non-title match, the first match after winning. I would have been very unhappy. So let's see here. But yeah, so fortunately FTR wins. I assume they hold it for a very long time.
I assume as well.
Like, if someone's going to beat them, it's going to be the Bucks. But I kind of think that unless we get... I just don't know. Like, I could actually see them beating the Bucks just to drive home a point.
I almost think if the pandemic wasn't happening, they probably would go to other federations with the tag belt.
Well, I know that's what supposedly, like, there was a Moxley interview where that was the plan for that.
Yeah.
I could see them doing the same thing and actually taking it other places to defend it to make them, like, legitimate world titles where they're defended other places. I mean, obviously not for real because it's the wrestling, but to give, to treat it that way.
It would make it feel more like the territory days back in the 50s and 60s. And
yeah. So hopefully we get out of that, and then we'll see. Because did you see where they're selling, like, the season tickets?
Yes.
If you follow AEW on Twitter, it's impossible to not know that they're doing that because it is the most retweeted thing ever. To where I almost unfollowed them until they're done selling these things. Holy moly! Sure. But yeah, you can get, like, what is it, like, basically 7 shows for $175 or something.
Which is pretty good, I guess, if you live in that area.
Well, now that the weather's getting better too, like, I wouldn't have thought at all about buying that during, July.
Swamp wrestling.
Yeah. But, like, you can sit here and get swamp butt in our chairs.
Yes.
And wear a mask.
Or if you want the same experience at home, just turn off the air conditioning and there you go.
Right. Yeah, that's my issue with, like, going to, like, football games is I feel like the home experience for a football game, American football, not where everywhere else in the world calls football, it's so much better at home. I don't want to go to the stadium where the stupid Cincinnati Bengals guy is trying to high five me when they get an interception off Eli Manning. Like, dude, you're winning. Sure. I get it. Sore spot. Cincinnati fans, you guys are jerks. So Matt, they go back. Alex Marvez is freaking out about, like, oh, something's going on back here, and Matt Hardy has been apparently clubbed in the knee, Tanya Harding style, by Jericho with his bat. That's what I'm going to imagine happened.
But
Jericho's asking if he's going to have the leg amputated. Like,
I didn't understand this. I'm just like, okay.
Well, I mean, they were going to have a match, so they took out Matt Hardy so he wouldn't even the odds up or anything like that for him. Is my guess. I think they're just trying to make Jericho and Hager like more mean than him and Sammy were.
Sure.
Apparently, Sammy is dead or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Sammy. He's just like gone.
I don't know if he's selling the injury or if he actually was kind of banged up or something. I mean, he takes at least one gross bump a week. So,
sure.
So this match, we get Kazarian and Paige, and we got Omega on commentary. So this is like one of those things where like the match was really good, and you have Kenny on commentary talking about like every time he gets a chance, he's like, well, I'm not there to bail him out on this, so we'll see how he does. Over and over. So it kind of put the thought in my mind, like once it became like super competitive, that they might actually have Hangman lose this one. To further that, because it feels like, well, he's already pretty down. Things have gone real bad for him. Let's make it worse. Like there's that part of me that wouldn't have been surprised to see that happen. So again, they had me in a situation where I'm pretty sure he's going to win, but I could see a reason to have him lose. I don't know. Did you have that feeling to it, or were you 100% that Paige was winning this?
Yeah, I thought they were going to have Paige lose. And kind of like Kenny, kind of like, yep, see, told you.
Right. Yeah, like it wouldn't have been just Paige losing for no reason. It would have advanced the story and furthered his down. So that's how I felt too. The match was really good, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
Because there was, I know it was another one of those matches where people hyped it up. Like AEW people, obviously. Like, oh, this match is going to be really good. You guys are going to be happy with this. So every time they do that, I always get worried. Because, I mean, I've had a match sold to me as the greatest wrestling match of all time. And it definitely wasn't. So,
sure.
But yeah, so... like Kenny, like that was heel commentary, right? Like subtle, but like that had to have him come across as a bad guy because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Just every time.
Well, on Instagram, he keeps posting photos of him walking down an alleyway, and then like in the shadows, you see the cleaner.
Yeah.
Image. So
okay, I'll have to check. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going with him and the Bucks are going to be bad guy group, I would assume, but we'll see.
I would assume, yes.
But yeah, so end result is, Paige does win, and we get Kenny just like runs away, and then they're playing up that Hangman's looking for Kenny to at least like say something, but he's not even there. So they're another 6 months. We'll get a conclusion to these two.
Yes, 6 months. This time next year, yes.
Now, does it? So I know as we've gone along, because initially where they take their time. What's that?
Keep talking, and I'll be right back. Somebody's at my door, so let me see who it is.
All right. So what we're going to ask Saul about when he returns is, over the course of time as we've been doing this with AEW debuting, he was never a WWE guy, but he had watched WWE more recently, or was trying to. And if you've watched them, their storytelling is pretty quick pace, where they can't hold anything back. It feels like it's, hey, I wonder what's going to happen, and either by the end of the show or in a lot of cases the next week you find out what's going on. So Saul has in the past been like, man, AEW's just they drag out their story so long, but curious if he is further acclimated to that or if it still drives him crazy. So we will see.
I am back.
Okay. So I was explaining to the listener
yes,
where when AEW started, it seemed like you had a problem with their slow burn approach or their dragging it out approach to storytelling.
Yes.
And I was speculating maybe because the most recent stuff you had watched was like WWE here and there sporadically, And usually, like, if they had, like, a big angle, they either told you at the end of the episode or the next week, and you never had to wait for anything. So, have you gotten a little more, like, because you had mentioned, it's been a few months, where you were getting a little more used to, like, the longer storytelling in some cases.
Yeah.
So with this, like, for this match, specifically with the Hangman Page and the Kenny thing, like, it makes me want to watch next week to see if they're going to further that along. Or I'm going to look at BTE. Like, does that actually hook you enough? Like, if you were 50-50 on watching it next week, do they now have enough stuff where you're like, oh, I'm going to get a little more information on this story to where that kind of pushes you over the edge to watch it when you might not normally?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
I think I still miss, like, the WCW back in the day. I think they did it pretty good as far as storytelling goes. Well,
yeah.
WCW.
Like when Berlin had his surprise partner, The Wall, that nobody saw coming?
No. I said the good WCW.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, it's just like when the Sting and NWO, they were building that feud up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good.
Yeah, where you wanted to see, like, who would join the NWO or who would turn or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That type of stuff.
You know, you mentioned that. This is going to sidetrack us for a second, but I was watching an old Nitro today. Someone was streaming, like, old Nitros on Twitch, and it's shortly after Hogan joined the NWO. But
okay.
So it was before the fourth man was revealed, but, like, where Nash lawn darts Rey Mysterio into the side of the trailer. It's around that time frame. And there's a match where, like, Flair is going against whatever they called him, the Booty Man, Zodiac, the Disciple, Brutus Beefcake, whatever his many names were, and they're just beating the tar out of him. And they're like, they put it over on counter, like, well, everyone knows that the Booty Man is friends with Hulk Hogan, so they're taking it out on him. And they just beat the ever living tar out of this guy. It just made me laugh, but it made sense because it was like the Horsemen, and then you had Barbarian and Ming out there.
Yeah.
And like that whole time, like I remembered it, but it's like, you know, because Sting hasn't gone all Sting yet, I guess you could
Old
say.
Crow. Yeah.
Well, I know there was like a lot of rumors at that time, or that come back, where like it might have been Sting as the third man if Hogan wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
That would have been the end of the NWO, because Hogan
Hogan
wouldn't have lost to the NWO.
Yep.
So it had to be Hogan, I'm pretty sure, for the NWO to work the way it did. I'm sure that's not a new revelation by any means, but it was like, it occurred to me how strongly different that would have been, because Hogan would have saved the day. All right, back to our AEW here.
I was worried where he's going with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a second, because I just enjoyed watching Brutus Beefcake get obliterated for like 5 minutes.
I mean, and I'll talk about it a little bit, but then we can go back to AEW. But yeah, I mean, I don't. That was a drop ball on their part. I don't understand why they didn't have the Horsemen, Dungeon of Doom fight NWO.
Well, I understand why they didn't have Dungeon of Doom, but yeah, like Horsemen, like a more pronounced thing. I mean, they got like the War Games out of it, but with Henning and all that, but it just got so convoluted at a certain point.
It did. Yeah.
So MJF obliterates poor Sean Dean. But I mean, again, this was more about MJF coming out and doing his promo. I'm glad to see that he hasn't dropped the Moxley cheating thing, and is going to do something with that. So that's kind of what you were saying. Like, he's taken something that's actually happened, and going forward, his character is going to remember, I guess. Like, that's really what it comes is like, the character remembers. Like, we're going to pick on Jurassic Express more, because that's just what happens now on this show, apparently. But yeah, like, it doesn't feel like anyone in Jurassic Express remembers anything. Like, where's Marco going after Hager for breaking his foot or whatever? Or, you know, like, It just doesn't seem. I think that's what supposedly happened to his foot, but I don't know because I don't care about Marco.
I just thought he hurt it in real life, and
I thought they had him
cares about
fight.
that character. Did anything with it.
Right. But yeah, so they're gonna be the whipping boys, unfortunately. But yeah, like MJF's even making him announce Justin Roberts announce him by his new title, the undefeated, undisputed, uncrowned champion. And then he teases, I don't know if teases is correct, but talks about he's not going to get a fair shake because you got to be a part of a group or a stable, which again, like we've talked about this in the past, it makes sense because you would want somebody to watch your back with the way things work there. So,
well, and see, that's pretty cool because they've already sowed a seed there that Wardlow will probably fight MJF in this new stable, whatever happens.
Yeah,
so
like
that's pretty neat.
They're set up to break apart, basically.
Yep. So that's pretty cool.
Well, it's funny because Wardlow's had like what 2 or 3 matches. Like he had the Cody match. Mm-hmm. He had a couple tag matches here and there. And I think he fought Luchasaurus one-on-one in that Lumberjack match, right?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But I'm more... And he hardly ever talks. But I'm interested in what Wardlow's going to do. With him it's like where Bischoff was talking about the most over Sting was when he didn't do anything and he didn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, Wardlow's in that same boat. Like, I've seen him be very impressive.
Well, BTE, I think, is hinting, because I think they're testing that.
Yeah.
Because BTE, he's getting more vocal.
Yeah. Well, that's good, though.
Dark Order.
Yeah. Do you think when they do the new show, they're going to start adding some of the stuff from BTE on it?
I think so.
Like, it doesn't have to be the full episode, but just little things, like show the Wardlow bits or something, just to get a little bit of character for the guy.
I think so.
Because it's an excellent supplemental thing that kind of gives you a different view of stuff, and it makes it more entertaining, I think.
Well, because from what I remember reading, WWE was offered to put BTE on the network to do like their own little spin of it. So I think that they're probably going to do the same concept.
Right.
I don't know.
So the question would be, if MJF starts a stable or joins one, what do you think is more likely? Is there a group you think he would join, or you think he'd start his own?
He'll start his own.
What if...
I don't know who's going to get in there.
Right, yeah. I feel like he would have to join one. But what I would like is if he... this is pretty easy, but I could see him joining up with like FTR and Tully.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
So... But that seems almost too easy. Now, what I would love is, and this would not happen, but it would be hilarious, is to throw MJF into the Dark Order just to watch it.
That wouldn't fit.
No, it absolutely would not. But if they did like a month-long series where he was trying out different stables.
Okay.
And then basically it's just him. Now, that one, because you got Mr. Brody is a very serious character, you'd have to somehow have him not involved in it. And I don't know that you want to have a Mr. Brody MJF match. So you kind of got to avoid that. But him just like being disgusted by Silver and Reynolds, maybe they could do it on BTE, would be fantastic.
Now you could do a really interesting storyline. They like have MJF be kind of a usurper role of the Inner Circle and kick Chris Jericho out. Now that would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be and they've set up like a little bit of a history between the two of them.
Exactly.
Like where they've had a few interactions here and there.
A usurper role for him might be that'd be pretty cool.
Right. Well, and it makes sense because he gets a promo eventually like, you think I was going to join something? I'm a born leader, whatever he could do with that. Like, I'm sure he could crush that super easy.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know.
What if it was him and the Bucks? Like, Kenny does his own thing, like just surprise for the sake of surprise. Or even...
Yeah.
I got it. I figured it out. Cody comes back as a heel, and he's with MJF, but this time he's like MJF's second instead of the other way around.
Okay.
And then eventually he gets to turn on MJF.
I can see that. Okay.
So we've come up with a few good, just from little things here and there that would be entertaining to see. All right. Kingston and his group, they beat some dudes up. I'm not into this.
I'm not into it either. For the simple fact, he's like, we're not a gang, we're not a faction, we're family. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. I mean, I like Eddie Kingston, the little bit that I've seen him. He's great at talking, and as uninterested in this as I am, when he's talking, I listen. Like, he has that ability. So they could get good. Like, it could get more interesting to me. I think they need a direction, like, to focus on something or whatever. But as it is right now, just not doing it for me. I mean, I like everybody involved. It's just like,
I do too.
Kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. So we got our private party and inner circle tag match here. I assume it was hot because they eventually ended up taking their shirts off, that being private party. That's my barometer for temperature.
I mean, did anyone think that, Jericho was going to lose this?
No. Especially, like, because Jericho's in, because you were talking about you wanted to see a more serious Jericho again. I feel like this is probably part of a little bit of a re-elevate him just a bit. When they whacked him with the bat, though, was it Quinn that they hit? I'm real bad with their names still when I'm not actually watching it. But they blasted him in the back with the bat, and the way he sold that throughout the match, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Because he could, like, move, but as soon as he hit anything, he'd go back to, like, selling it. And I feel that was, again, someone who's had, like, back issues. Like, you can move normal, but all of a sudden you're taking a knee kind of thing. So I enjoyed the way he sold that, and it basically cost them the match by the end.
I don't enjoy Cassidy, I think it is. When he gets hit with the Judas effect, he goes into seizures like
the
Devon
hand
used
twitch.
To do. I've never been a fan of that in wrestling. I always like, that's just so cheap.
I feel like, because I mean, that's a real thing that can happen. I feel like his is it's too twitchy. And I think some of that is because if you were playing to a live audience, it's like in theater, you have to gesture bigger so people further away can see it. So I get it, but I don't know. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, at least it's an effort to try to add something a little bit to it. But I see what you mean. It's a little distracting.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, yeah, they have like a fight at the end where they kind of at least fight off Jericho a little bit to give them something. But the big thing is they got the win. So this next match. Now, did you read anything or did you see anybody talking about this after the fact? The Thunder Rosa?
I read that some people were actually saying that there were actually some shots being fired.
Right.
Some live rounds.
When I watched the match, I was not super into this match, but I was still watching it. And I thought it was an okay match. There were a couple times where I did notice that she was like flipping her hair, or I caught like a facial expression where I was like, well, that's strange. And then I was just like, well, it's probably like 170 degrees in the ring, and your hair's in your face. So, if you don't do a lot of live to tape or live TV, maybe you're just, they just caught you when you didn't realize they were going to catch you or something. But I didn't think a ton of it. Now, there were a couple spots that I saw clips of. Like, there's a snapmare part where she's just sitting there looking like she's waiting on a sandwich to be made or something. And I didn't see that live. I missed that part. I must have been looking away. But I thought the match itself was okay. Like, I didn't think it was the greatest match ever, but I was like, that was an all right match when I was done. And then, a couple days later, I'm reading stuff, and I'm like, wow, people had a lot of problems with her. What has gone on here? Like, man, people.
Maybe they're like, hey, let's go to school. Make this look real.
Because I didn't see anything that I thought was like a live round, so to say. And I've seen different reports from like the different wrestling dudes talking about it. So I have no idea. Like, I didn't see anything that I thought was anything more than, maybe just a little bit of a stiff shot, but for the sake of, like, that's just what people do in wrestling now. So I didn't see anything that freaked me out. Like, I've seen conflicting reports on that.
Well, it's funny because it's hard for me to tell sometimes, because I remember when the what are they called, the Acolytes, Bradshaw,
would murder people,
beat the crap out of Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just thought it was just a wrestling match, but apparently they just literally beat the crap out of them. So,
well, the thing is, that's more
the
Acolyte, the APA were just their style. If they did it for real, you couldn't tell the difference.
Sure.
There was, so Arn Anderson has his podcast, and someone was asking about the clothesline from hell that Bradshaw did, and they were basically kind of saying like, oh, some people say, oh, you just gotta know how to take it or whatever. I think Arn's words were, there was never one of those clotheslines that Bradshaw threw that didn't have ill intent on it. He's like, and the only reason people say you got to know how to take it or whatever is they want to try to downplay how much it hurt or whatever.
Sure.
So, and that goes back to that being the APA, where he just threw stuff.
Sure.
But so I guess the other thing, so the online community, from what I saw, a lot of people were just all over Evilise. Like, oh, she's not professional. She needs to not be signed or something, which I don't think she is signed. But someone also pointed out that I guess recently her house burned down.
Sure.
So someone was like, well,
it might be under some stress.
her house has burnt down and she's been going through that, but I guess she also has like a history, or people say, whether it's true or not, I have zero idea. I've never followed anything else she's done, of doing kind of strange things in the ring, I guess. But all I know is when I watched the match, there were a couple things where I was like, oh, that's strange, but it didn't really detract for me. And maybe there was way more than I realized. I haven't gone back and watched it, and I'm not going to. But I will say this: the tag match this Wednesday, I'm going to be much more interested to see what goes on.
Yes.
For better or worse, I'm now now I'm searching for drama.
Yes.
So I don't know. Like, that is just weird. Like, nothing can happen in like wrestling. I would hate to be a wrestler that ever did anything on camera, because I would be just criticized in the worst way. Like,
that's why you gotta be an MJF character.
I don't think I could do that.
You just gotta I did it. What's the problem?
What if? See, I wonder sometimes, maybe MJF is really the nicest guy ever, and he just does the exact opposite of what he would really do.
Sure.
Like, be like, oh, I'm a good person. If I did the exact opposite of my instincts, it would make me a mean person, and maybe that's why he's so good at it. So we get Miro bench pressing. If you watch him bench press with subtitles, he does not count correctly. Perhaps in Bulgaria they skip numbers.
Yes.
But either way, they're going to do the wedding before Miro gets into the ring. Do you like? I've watched a couple clips of Miro talking about stuff from his Twitch or just like interviews or whatever. He seems super excited to be in AEW.
Sure, yeah, he does seem like he's excited, but this, I had no idea where they were going to go with this, because Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian, I mean, they're all right, but they're not the most entertaining people, I would say, as far as character development, other than Kip is just the bimbo of the relationship.
Well, they really got sidetracked with Mr. Havoc and his problems.
Yeah, that's true.
So they kind of got to get something going again. because like I like them both, like Kip and Penelope. Like they entertain me, but they haven't really had anything to do yet. So hopefully this gets them with Miro going somewhere, going for something.
Something, yes.
Like I don't know where it would go. Like obviously they could have been built into them, like, you know, getting some tag team title shots with Havoc. Maybe him and Miro will be a tag team and start doing that. I don't know. But yeah, what caught my eye, and it goes with like the story stuff we've been talking about for this, is Miro was like, "Oh, I'm so happy I can have this character that I can take on a journey." Or I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it's basically what we're talking about with the other guys, where you can have like a storyline, but once it's over, that doesn't mean that your character can't reference it. Like it can still be a thing that affects how you are going forward.
Exactly.
So we'll see, but it's kind of, do you think for Miro, because I would have to say being brought in the way he is, like it's a big name to anyone who likes him, but it's probably like a mid-card position that he's in at the moment, just being paired up with Kip. Would you say that's fair?
I would say that's fair, yeah.
But there's an awful lot of opportunity for him to quickly advance that. So it's not like, oh, he was brought in at the top. Like he actually is brought in and can like build himself up and do it that way.
Yeah.
Let's see. So this next part, this is the exciting part for me. So we get Lance Archer and Jake come out, and I'm going to paraphrase through a whole lot of this, but until we get to the good stuff.
Two weirdos come out. They do their weirdo.
They do their weirdo thing, but then they're like, because I guess it's set up to have like Moxley against Archer with like the 6-man tag, but he calls out Taz, who they've struck a business agreement with.
Yes.
To be that, but there's still like tension amongst it. Did you like though that they're like, well, we're gonna make an agreement that Cage gets the first shot if Archer wins?
Yeah, that was neat.
And Lance actually said, yes, I agree to that. Because I've seen that kind of angle ran before, but the person who could potentially win the championship is always real cagey about giving the answer that, yes, I will give you the title shot. But this, he flat out said that they'd go, what was it? Let me look here. Yeah, they'd go Godzilla on Daly's place.
Yes.
Which if the end result of this is I get to see those two just obliterate each other, that'll be fine. That'll entertain me.
Sure.
So, but so Starks and Cage, Moxley comes out to respond, and it took me a second to realize it was Ricky Starks behind him, but I thought, I was like, that's weird. That guy's awful close. And I was like, that looks like Ricky Starks. I was like, oh, they were about to totally jump him. Now, do you think that was inspired by the fan who tried to touch Moxley at the pay-per-view? Or was that actually a setup to make that less suspicious that the guy was behind Moxley for this? Do you think they planned that far ahead? Or they just used that to their fortune?
I think they just used it.
Okay.
AEW is pretty good at like just flowing with it, type thing, you know.
Well, I only ask because like when they do like the plants in the crowd, like they're there almost the entire show. Like it's not like all of a sudden these two guys are there. Like they're there for multiple segments before they're needed. So like I don't put it past them to potentially have something like that thought out. But so all of a sudden when Jon Moxley, things are looking very bleak, very bad for him, a hero emerges. Will Hobbs comes running with a chair.
Yep.
Now, if you've been following for the past like 2 months, we joined the whatever the Hobbs Army would be called. I don't know if his fan club has a name. But as soon as we saw him on Dynamite, or not on Dynamite, Dark, the first couple times, we were for this guy.
Yes.
Were you super excited for him to be involved in this?
Yes, I even went on Twitter the next day and I'm trying to subliminally tell him your finisher should be the spine buster.
Now I thought of something. So he does like that Stampede style finisher where he picks him up, takes him to the corner, and then does the power slam. If there was a live crowd And when he did that move, if it, like, as he was running into the corner for the first part of it, if the crowd just chanted Hobbs, 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 and then once he hits him, like the entire time he's running before the power slam, they just did Hobbs. Like, would that make that better as a finisher if there was that crowd participation?
Maybe.
All right.
You thought a lot about that.
Well, I was like, what could be done to make me not hate seeing this move as a finisher?
Gotcha.
And I was like, that would be pretty cool. But that almost makes it better, the 2-count move, because you get the crowd like into it. Like, that's his cut off, like his comeback move that gets him back into it or something. But either way, so Hobbs gets involved, which I was really surprised by, because I'm assuming they'll give a little bit of a better explanation as to why Moxley picked him. And it could just be because he's a big dude and he squared up with he squared up with Lance and Cage in the Battle Royal. So there's a little bit there. And then,
or you can just go with the thing is he doesn't like bullies. He doesn't like people being bullied. So,
either way. But I'm just glad to see that it looks like they're aligning him as a good guy.
Yeah. Because
again, you can't tell me the story of him and his brother and me boo this guy. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now you could get me there, but you would have to, like, initially this guy's a face. Like, to me, he seemed like he exudes not a bad human being to me.
Great.
And then Moxley looks at the TV and is like, Darby Allin, get to Jacksonville next week, which is nice that they keep the loose affiliation with Moxley and Darby.
Stop jumping off bridges and playing the phone.
That would have been funny if he was like, I don't know what weird thing you're going to be doing, but come here and be weird because we got some weirdos to fight.
Yes.
But yeah, so did you, like, the Hobbs thing really sold the segment. I would have liked it anyway, but that just really excited me for, he's getting a pretty big opportunity. Doesn't immediately put him in a title match that he'll lose, and then you're like, oh no, what are they going to do next? Where you're all worried about it. But
maybe for dancing or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't have the dance. I feel important that I think Keith Lee's dance timer that we were talking about a few weeks back obviously got reset.
Yes.
So thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, yeah, because I would hate to see him get NXT to WWE'd. I don't know if that's an actual verb phrase, but
it should be.
All right, so we're gonna get a really weird match next week. Orange Cassidy against Mr. Brody.
Yeah.
I assume prediction, Mr. Brody's going to win. I just don't know what that match is going to look like.
Yeah, that's a weird match.
Which, I mean, Mr. Brody's had pretty good matches. Orange Cassidy can make things kind of interesting, but I'm just real curious what we're going to get. So I'm definitely tuning in for that one just to see whether it's a spectacle or what it is. But street fight time. So, do you have an opinion on street fights in general from watching wrestling? Like an expectation?
I think Goldust and Roddy Piper did a pretty good job with their street fight. So I kind of go with that.
Dare I say their cinematic street fight?
Sure.
At the time?
Yeah.
That was filmed on multiple days. So,
yeah.
But otherwise, like when like WWE or even WCW would do like a street fight or a parking lot brawl or something, have you ever been impressed by them at all? Or has it just been like, dude, you guys are just like in a parking garage and you hit somebody with a cookie sheet? That's not a street fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
pretty much. I've never been a big fan of them.
Right. Now, I think WCW did do that weird battle royal thing in a junkyard or something where people got like, or was that WWE? I can't remember who it was. But people got like crazy stitches and all kinds of stuff out of that because they were really fighting on the cars. Now, did this match with your favorite tag team best friends, did this actually feel like a parking lot fight though?
Yeah, I mean, it did. I think they did a good job with it. Other than the end, I think Santana and Ortiz should have won this. But
I did want them to win. although they lost the numbers games finally, they should have been prepared for Orange Cassidy. And often Santana and Ortiz have Hager come and help them. So I'm okay. Like, I would have liked to see them win, but I was okay with it because essentially they got a dose of their own medicine kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in general, like, again, this was one of those matches where it was like, I heard high praise to it. So I was like, I don't know, but it was actually really good. Did you initially get the Dead Presidents reference for Santana and Ortiz? Like, or have you ever seen that movie? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't pick it up initially. It looked familiar. Then when they said it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. So,
because I think they did it in Impact too.
Did they? So is that their like go-to big blow-off feud thing, maybe?
I mean, I don't know enough about their Impact days to say one way or the other, but I've seen them do this before.
It did make me want to watch that movie again because it's been about a decade since I've seen it.
It's been a minute for me too. Yes,
been a minute. So basically, this match really is just them beating the crap out of each other. My favorite moment was Trent went to hit one of them with like the wood and it bounced up and hit him in the face, and he looked genuinely confused as to what happened.
Yes.
So I thought that was funny. But yeah, there was just like the power bombs to Trent on the car was pretty brutal. I was like, I wonder if that's like a gimmicked glass or something. And then I saw his back and I was like, nope, that's just the car windshield. Jeez.
Yeah.
I wonder if, because this is going to be a shock, I've never been power bombed into a car window. But I've had a car window broken out where you find safety glass for like days and days and days and forever. Is he going to be picking out pieces of glass for the rest of his life out of his back from that?
I don't know.
But either way, so yeah, it gets to like what you were talking about. Santana was about to go in for the kill shot with a pipe, but Orange Cassidy has the orange punch with a steel chain, and that kind of turns the tide of battle. And then you got the nice thing where they leave in Sue's van, and she flips off best friends for basically destroying her old van. I thought that was
part.
What's that?
That part, I was like, okay, this is dumb again.
I love how like best friends could do anything, and you're just not gonna be for it at all.
Nope.
I liked it. The match was good. Again, I'm with you on the finish. I would like to see Santana and Ortiz take it, but fair. I mean, if you're going for like the payback retribution thing, the good guys kind of have to go over at some point. But Santana and Ortiz did tweet out that basically they're gonna be mean now, I guess. So we'll see where that goes. But I was pretty entertained by it. It's probably my favorite street fight or parking lot fight that I've seen, because it really felt like a fight and pretty brutal. Because I mean, obviously they did some wrestling moves, but there was a lot more just hitting each other like a fight, as opposed to there weren't like a bunch of Hurricane Ranas and sequences like that. Nick Jackson didn't show up and do his comeback off cars.
I like AEW's summary of this match. Trump's mom, Sue, pulled up her minivan and gave the best friends a lift out of there. And just before leaving, Sue flipped the bird.
She was interviewed on like a couple things. Now I know you will never listen to this, but the AEW Unrestricted podcast had best friends on it. And it's actually what's that? It's a pretty entertaining. It was pretty entertaining, but at one point they were asking, like they took questions that people had tweeted at it. They were like, Trent, well, do you have a problem with Sue being part of the Dark Order? And he's like, well, wrestling's not real, so no, that's fine. I just laughed because it was like they were asking like this super serious question about Sue being part of the Dark Order, and he's just like, there's not really a way to respond to this other than, she's no.
And that's why I don't like them, because they have no personality. They're awkward when they talk. I don't know. It's just weird.
I hope that they do something at some point. What if they turn bad guy, and they took Marco's stunt and they beat someone else that you don't like in AEW. They used Marco's stunt as a weapon on somebody. Would that turn your opinion of them any?
I don't think so. Because they remind me like of Russell Crowe, the actor. So I remember somebody asked Russell Crowe in an interview. It was right after Gladiator. It was really popular, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, Russell, what do you and Maximus have in common? You know, just a little playful question.
Right.
And Russell Crowe is like, well, Maximus isn't a real character. This is real life, so I don't. I mean, it just
where he took like an overly serious.
Yeah, and then that's what the best friends remind me of. They're just like, well, this is okay. I don't know.
I love it. That's going to be the subtitle for the show, though. Is best friends are just like Russell Crowe.
Yes,
100%. We got the title.
Best friends are like Russell Crowe.
I don't.
And they're also tagged Russell Crowe and be like, "I'm not a wrestler. I'm an actor."
Like, if you would like for me to do a promotional speaking, I can do that. Did you ever see where they had Russell Crowe's fighting around the world on South Park?
No.
I think he got in a fight with somebody or something, but it was instead of Steve Irwin, it was Russell Crowe, and he would just go to other countries to try to fight people. But it would be like we got a Tibetan monk here. They're very crafty. They know martial arts, something along those lines. And then he had a sidekick that was a tugboat.
Okay.
I feel I don't know if you're into South Park at all, but the Russell Crowe, I feel like you would enjoy that. But yeah, it's fighting around the world. I'll send you a link later because it's hilarious. But yeah, him and Tugger, the tugboat, that's how he gets to the other countries to fight other people. So,
I think we're kind of done here.
All right.
We're talking about Tuggy the tugboat and then Russell Crowe. And...
Tugger, E-R.
Sorry,
Tugger the tugboat. So, all right, we will call it there, everybody. Have a good week. Apologize for being tired because I've probably misspoken a ton, but what can you do? So
it is what it is. Like I said, you guys are dealing with panic attacks. Talk to somebody. I understand your pain.
Yeah, hopefully, like even a friend or something. Yeah. I mean, you can always write us. We're much like the best friends. We can exchange like awkward messages and try to help, but it'll probably be for the worse. So
I will be better than the best friends. I will actually try to help and not be anyway.
We're like, well, Bacon Sticks is just a character I play on the podcast.
Yes, I'm not really Bacon Sticks. I'm actually a human being that cares about other human beings.
All right. That's it. agonyofpositivity.com. You can actually drop an email to the show. You can put in your real email or make one up. And then at the AOP podcast on Twitter. We should probably do this at the beginning of the show, but I'm never going to remember. So, all right. Later, everybody.
Have a good week.